Hi, welcome to Success by Design interview with an expert. I am so excited to be joined by Annik Petrou today. Hi, Annik.
Hi, guys. And
Annik,
yes, thanks for calling me an expert. I love being flattered.
Annik is the founder of Speaker Express, and today we are going to be talking all about her success journey, the highs and the lows, how she has been able to create what she does. So stick around to the end. If you've got any questions, we will ask as many questions as we have got time for. We want to respect your time and also want to respect Annik's time. So we've got a maximum of 45 minutes with you guys tonight. So let's get started. Annik, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Right. So I don't know if anyone else there is German. I am East German. And I know the wall came down and I'm aware of that, but I still feel there's something different about someone from East Germany compared to someone from Germany. And I've lived in Berlin for a number of years. Hey?
I was just checking we're online. We are. We're live.
So I lived in Berlin for a number of years, but before I moved to London, I actually grew up in a tiny village of 300 people. Anyone out there, if you can relate to that, oh my God, it's probably the terror of any teenager because no clubs around, no fun around, no bars around. So that's where I grew up. And I think that's why I probably really appreciate London. I've been here for 13 years and now running my own business, but it wasn't always the case.
Fantastic. And so what did life look like then before you started Speaker Express, and sort of what led you to start Speaker Express? Why did you start it?
So when I came to London, I worked in lighting and architecture. We were selling big technical lighting control systems into different projects. And it was really, really interesting because I thought I was always, I knew I was always loud and seemed confident, but it was just really masking all my insecurities. I know whenever I had a good idea and I would pitch it to my boss, my boss would say things like, yes, whatever, you are in the technical estimating department. Don't worry about anything else. That's not your role. And it's just really interesting. I always felt, why is it that some people, even though their ideas aren't that good, they always get promoted. They always get heard, they always get listened to. And what is it? And then I started looking into that. And I went to my first ever Toastmasters event and stood in front of probably only 20 people, but I was mortified. Like, I was so scared. You have no idea. So I looked to the floor and I said something like, "Hi, I'm Annik." And then I started walking to my chair and, just finishing with like, "And I hope next time I can say a bit more." And it was just a terrible experience and really, 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 really hardcore. And then I started really looking into understanding what the hell is that? When I stand in front of people, what happens to me? It's the German control freak, right? I wanted to be in control of what is happening to my body, and most importantly, actually, to what was coming out of my mouth, and be in control. And that's why I set up Speaker Express, because most of the trainings I found, they were great, but it was more sit down, listening to someone, and you don't learn speaking this way. And it's really about starting from within. Like what we do at Speaker Express is look at the inner game, like what creates all those fears you have. And from there, you can start learning all the tools and techniques of becoming a speaker, but it starts a bit before with your authenticity and vulnerability.
Amazing. So I just have to say, at this stage, guys, we're not being rude. We're not ignoring you. The plugin that we're using to do this chat today doesn't show us who you are, and it doesn't show your comments. So I have to look at my phone to see what's going on because it's not showing up. This is what happens when you protect people's privacy, which is obviously fantastic, but makes it a little bit harder for us to interact and keep things flowing. So we're not ignoring you. I just wanted you to know that. So I will continue asking Annik the questions and then come back to your questions later. So anything that you've got, just put it in the chat. And if any of what Annik is saying is resonating with you, then give us some high fives. Also, if this conversation resonates with you and you think it would resonate with any of your friends, hit the share button and share it with some people as well, because this is on the public page, so it can be shared. So let's kind of leave the business side for a minute and just focus on you as the person running the business. So I would just really like to understand, how do you plan your day? Is there an average day? Do you get up at a certain time? Do you have a routine? A lot of people talk about how they start their day. So I'd just love to know, and then maybe how do you end your day? What works for you?
I know, like, that's something really close to home, especially for you, right? Like with being organized, and people always think because I'm German, I'm organized, and I'm terrible. Seriously, like when my husband gets up, he has the same routine. He knows what he does. And I can check my clock. It's like, yeah, now he's brushing his teeth. And it's really, really interesting where I'm just a mess. Like I get up whenever I want. I never do the same thing. I at least 10 minutes of yoga every morning, just to, like, you know, start the day, and trying to develop a routine. I've never really been successful at that. I don't check my phone in the morning. That's probably an important thing. Like I really try to stay away. Like I don't get my emails on my phone. And that's really something I'm really passionate about, to disconnect as much as possible. Because, you know, for some people, it just clocks up everything, and then you're just buzzing and thinking of a million things, and you're not really focused. But one thing I love, actually, I have it here. Like I have my little journal, and if I get the chance, and if I do remember, I just write my gratitude list in the morning. I have this song from A Beautiful Mind. I think it's called A Kaleidoscope of something. It's just a song I love, and I always put that on, and then just really get into the feeling thing. You know, what am I grateful for? What's great in my life? And what do I want to manifest? And that's something I always start. And once we're finished, I will finish my day with that. But all the rest in between is an absolute mess. And sometimes I wish I would have a routine, but I don't. And still, like, one thing I actually always do without being consciously aware of whatever bugs me the most. So for example, at the moment we are developing like an email sequence, and that always takes a lot of work, and it's nothing I really like because I constantly get distracted. But all that hard stuff I do first thing in the morning, and I also do all my sales follow-ups first thing in the morning, because then it's done. And no matter what happens during the day, I feel I've achieved something, you know. And that I'm always keen hearing other people's routine, but mine is messy and it's never the same.
So you're resonating with Frederick, who has said that was a great piece of advice. No emails or the phone. The gratitude is so powerful. Could not agree more. Thank you for sharing that, Frederick. It really sounds like you do have a routine, but you're just not calling it a routine. And obviously
maybe because I never do it in the same order, actually. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good point.
And that is sort of some of it, that we don't always have to have a strict way of working, etc., etc. Quite probably. People are saying it seems like it's frozen, but I don't know if it's recovered. I think it probably has. Let's carry on talking anyway. And do you plan your life then? Do you have goals? Do you sit down? How does that really work for you? When do you do it?
So we do it January, and then once every quarter we review the strategy for the year, and often realizing, remember, this was our strategic marketing plan for the first quarter and it flew out of the window. Let's make sure we get back on track. And what we also started to implement is having at least one day a month, like me and my business partner, we spend together an entire day. just to make sure we are on track. We are currently both doing like a business development program, and that forces us to meet certain milestones, and that's really, really important. But I think I actually do have more of a strategy than I give myself credit for, because, Fred, this is actually why I try not to use my phone so often, because we're so busy and I'm constantly buzzing with different ideas. And, sometimes it's so hard to stay on track. So it's really, really always beneficial to be part of a mastermind. If you have a business partner, that's the best. If you don't have one, there's so many groups and communities out there you can join. It's something you need. Like, you need to have contact with the outside world, because I know a lot of us, we're solopreneurs. That's what we do. We work from home or from a workspace, but still sucked up in our own little world. And, breaking out of that as often as possible is key. And spending an entire day to reflect on the month gone, it's so, so powerful. And that's what we really do.
And again, it sounds like that's you saying accountability has been really key. And if we were just to look at, say, year on year, what are the things that you think have turned the dial, as they say, in the last sort of couple of years for your business?
You know what? The biggest thing, because you can see the proof in the bank account, is overcoming your shit with selling. And you have no idea. I even feel now, not anger, but it's like I'm so angry at myself that I left it for so many years, because I just always hated selling. I got fired from not one, but 2 jobs in sales before I started my own business. And, then once I felt I was comfortable with the speaking, I would do a presentation and it was all great. And then I would go into the sales pitch and everything would go to shits. I would fumble, forget my words and just come across as really incongruent to the rest of my presentation. So I'd say this has made the biggest difference. And I personally, when I started looking into this a couple of years ago, I thought it's the sales techniques. I thought it's following a certain structure. I thought it's having a certain sales routine. I thought it's, having a methodology or having a certain sales process, where all of this is part of it. What actually it was for me, it was the energetic connection. So I have done a lot of hypnotherapy, NLP, God, what else? Even shamanic work, to just kind of dive into whatever was blocking me and being abundant, feeling abundant, and really creating the money for the business it deserved. And it's actually really, really interesting. If I now look back, we even integrated that into our 6 months training program from now moving forward, the sales mindset. Because yes, you can be an amazing speaker, but what are you if you can't sell? Then you have a hobby. There's no money in the bank account and you start getting frustrated. So it's one of the biggest things to authentically be able to sell without coming across as pushy or annoying, but really communicating your services in a powerful way. That's the thing that has made a difference. And I've seen it every year that our reach has grown, turnover has grown. And that's really, I'd say to you, get working on your sales mindset, but also on your sales methodology and the processes you have in your system when it comes to sales, not in your system in your business.
That is such a top tip, because you have to be connected to what it is that you are actually doing. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that one. So here is an interesting question, and maybe you've sort of answered a little bit of it with some of your answers. What would you have done differently, do you think, knowing what you know now, perhaps through starting a business or running the business, or certain things in your life, balance? What would you... And then the next question is, what advice would you give to yourself? So perhaps we could tie the two in together.
It's a very good question. To be honest, I think, and I used to have this fight with my husband until we stopped talking about anything business at home, because we were just ruffling our feathers. Someone else could probably grow the business faster, could have taken it in a different direction, would have gone through I don't know, millions of pounds in terms of turnover. We aren't there. Like, it's not that it's the biggest business in the world. We're still very much growing and still like a fresh kind of boutique style company. I'd say you grow your business the way you're comfortable at, and it grows with your own ability and your own confidence. And I used to beat myself up in the past, about all those kind of things. And now I must say the best thing you can do for yourself is just honor where you're at, and it's okay. Probably, yeah, if I would give someone or myself like a piece of advice, is maybe listen to the people who know, because I know Elliot, my business partner, he has a lot more business strategy experience. And sometimes in the past, we would implement something and then I would realize, oh, he started going on about this 2 years ago, but I wasn't ready to hear it, It's honoring your own journey. And I continue to screw up. And I like that. I mean, no, I don't like screwing up, but I like that I'm okay with it. That's, in your business, and everyone who's listening, like, that's really part of running a business and growing a business. Whenever you take it to the next level, you're a beginner again. You're suddenly at a bigger turnover, your team grows, and you're like, fuck, what do I do now? It's just one of those things. And that's actually very exciting.
So what would you say is your sort of top tactic then when it comes to this? The great phrase is another level, another devil.
Yes, you said it at your last event. I love that.
What is your sort of approach to this when you've overcome problems and then there are more problems? Do you get excited?
Yeah, I fucked up again. No. I can't even think of anything right now. Let me think. Like, what is something where we hit the wall recently? Don't know. Do you have an example?
I was just going to say, so one of my mentors says that they get really excited every time they've up-leveled their business and they hit another problem, because their way of looking at it, and this really helped me in the mindset, is that the more complicated the problems are that are coming to you, the more you've evolved as a business person. And then the more complicated the problem, the bigger the ticket, the bigger the price involved in resolving the problem is. So they see it as basically an opportunity, in simple terms, for you to make more money from solving a bigger problem. So they would get excited because they use that as an indication that they've grown as a human.
I love that.
So it's almost like you were saying that as your consciousness has risen, you've seen sales in a totally different way. You've been able to approach it.
I love that. I think that's for the Yodas in the world. I'm spiritually not that evolved. I still get pissed off. I get frustrated. I get angry, German style. I cry. Actually, I haven't cried in a while. Oh, you will see. I will hit a wall very soon. But it's really all about understanding that nerves are part of playing a bigger game and making friends with them. I really love this whole attitude, and I think I love what your mentor says. That's something I want to get to. But to be honest, I'm human. I can't imagine. I have German genes. I can't imagine that there will always be a day where I get excited. Yay, I hired a new employee. 3 weeks later, the person leaves, and I'd just be pissed off.
And I think that is kind of part of it, that we are human. And so just on that then, Corinne is saying that she loves that honor where you are. And how you want to grow your business. It's so easy to do what others say. You should, even if you don't feel it's right, especially when you're starting out. That is so true, Corinne.
Yeah.
And, do you have anything that you want to add to that? Little top tip or a piece of advice for how to stay focused and keep in your own lane?
I think the most important thing is taking time out. I find the problem I see with most people is something like, oh, I'm too busy this week to create my speaker sheet, or I'm too busy this week to produce some quality footage. But those are the things that will roll in the big money. Really have it's like at the moment we're writing a book, and I know we should have done this 3 years ago. We had the idea even before, but now it's bloody time, and we have an accountability system in place that will help us to, I'm not sure if it will be, launched at the end of the year, but it will be written by the end of the year. And I think it's really the follow through. If there's something you're so upset about that you haven't created it yet, like an online program, all the things that are annoying and take a lot of time, spend an hour a day on it and see where you're at 3 months down the line. That's really the biggest advice, because I still get sucked into the business. It's like, it's a quick reward. You reply to an email, send, done, yay, compared to spending 3 hours, writing on a book outline and that kind of stuff. So it's really understanding the balance between the work you do in the business and the work you do on the business.
It really sounds like having the mentor and the accountability in the group has been helpful. And have you found that this helps people who come to Speaker Express who want to speak? Because you run sort of 6 months, 12-month programs, don't you? So I guess when people would come at the start, they're novice speakers.
I also see the difference. Look, we work with different people. Some people, they speak at a lot of big conferences already, but for them, it's starting to get paid, eventually maybe having an agent. But I can see the difference between people who are part of an accountability group. We facilitate that within, and people who are not. And it's something you have to work on yourself. There's a difference. So, for example, we're running 3 different programs, and one of our higher level programs obviously has us holding them accountable. And trust me, if you get, a text first thing in the morning, where's the video you promised? It's embarrassing. And then I, as a speaker agent, because that's a part of our business as well, it's like, I make a big note in my mind, not reliable. And that's really, 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 really important. And I can't remember the question you asked me.
So just about accountability and how useful it is in your programs, and the lights have gone out. How useful it is in your programs, and how then it's been for your own business as well. It sounds like it's really helped you.
Such a game changer.
Success journey. So where can we find you online?
Everywhere really. Speakerexpress.co.uk is probably the best way to start. They're all our social media buttons, and my favorite one is Instagram, but probably more, I think maybe because you just post and that's it. You don't have like tons of engagement. Like our Facebook group sometimes gets super busy, and I'm glad I have Amy helping me with it. Probably the best place to tap into potential, stages to start speaking at, or we also post speaking gigs in there, tips and tricks on anything really, how to get booked, your confidence, sales tips. It's all in our group on Facebook. That's probably the best platform to hang out with us.
Fantastic. And you also run monthly events for people to come and to practice if they want to get into speaking, because obviously your business is about speaking and visibility. However, there is a lot to be said for being seen, being visible, and being out there as a speaker. It does, obviously you're going to say this because it's your business, but it is a fact that it does build your credibility.
Well, not only your credibility. Look, maybe because I'm so in love with selling now, for anyone in business, you are happier and like tomorrow I take a day off. If I would be stressed about sales, if I would worry about the next event we run and it's not, it hasn't sold enough tickets, I couldn't take a day off. I'd go mad. I would work 24/7. So it just gives you a lot of freedom as well, having all those things in place. And it's just very important. And look, I know the first 3 years of my business, they let me into burnout. They let me into crying, not weekly, sometimes daily. And then I was like, why am I doing this? I was happier when I hated my boss. Now I run a business that just drives me mad because it's not working. And I really feel, if you are in a space like that, get support, work with someone. I added so much debt to my credit card at the time until I found the right mentor who helped me making it all happen. And that's really, really important, and then when you have the freedom and you're happy with everything in the business, take more time off, take your weekends off, book holidays. Honestly, I think I probably take 2 months off a year if I count all the days. Like we go to Australia sometimes for 6 weeks at a time, then I visit my family, we're booking a trip to Thailand. It's just a lot of not working, and that's okay if you have the business that supports that lifestyle. But, some people love working 24/7. I just want the balance. I want a cocktail on the beach, going on a yoga retreat, or shopping at Selfridges whenever I want.
And it almost sounds like, and we haven't discussed this today, so I want to ask you this question. What is success to you then? Because it's almost sounding like this is success to you.
Like a big deal for me is self-care. And, if anyone out there, if you have been burnt out, from something you actually love doing, it's very painful. And it took me years. And even now, like last night, I must have fallen asleep on the sofa at 9:00. I still have my days where I'm completely exhausted, but it's really, really important having the balance. And success means for me to have freedom. And today I have a good day, but I have my days where there's too much on my mind and where I say to myself, I don't have time to do a meditation. But then in hindsight, always think, my God, if I would have done this 10-minute meditation, I would have had a better experience during my day. And now I try to do 3 meditations, like one in the morning, one during lunch, and one in the evening, sometimes only 5 minutes, but it makes a difference. And, meditating is not for everyone, but I find it has really helped me to make better decisions and calm all the crazy stuff down.
And so what is your chosen way of meditating? How do you?
So years and years ago, I used to start with, what's it called? Headspace. Because everyone was raving about it, but I hate his voice. He does my head in. And then I used Budify, but it was too much talking. And at the moment, I use something one of our members recommended to me. It's called Insight Timer. And there are loads of different meditations on there, and they have different ratings, and it's really, really easy to use. They do stuff on manifestation, on just like 1 minute breathing, or, 20 minutes on yoga nidra. There are millions on there, and I really love using it because it never gets boring. There's always something new to discover.
Amazing. And so, guys who are watching us live, if you've got any questions, do stick them into the comments now, because there's a bit of a delay on this. So I'll ask Annik my final question, and then whatever questions you've got. We've got about 15 minutes to answer these questions. And thank you so much for your comments. Sorry that they're not appearing, but Corinne was saying again also that was a top tip, and it's so important to do things first that are not the easy things. So I think that she was sort of talking about the comment you'd made earlier about you get your sales and all the difficult things, your sales calls, and more trickier tasks done first thing in the morning. So I hope that people have found this conversation very interesting. I just want to sort of wrap up the top things that I've taken away from what Annik has shared, because as we found with the event last week, this information is game changing, but it seems very simple, and that's a blessing and a curse, because we've all heard it. The difference is when you apply what you hear, that's when you start to get the results. So Annik has shared with us that one of her big things she does every day is gratitude. She gets grateful for everything, and she likes to write it down. Now, for you, writing may work, it may not work. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can say these things out loud, but gratitude is such a top tip that everybody shares, and Annik has shared with us tonight. Accountability as well is another one of her top tips that she shared, that she's found that her business was able to go to the next level, to turn the dial when they got accountable. Also, she shared some amazing tips on sales, mainly to do with how she learned how to clear her blocks. So I hope that you take away from that sales isn't just about having the right script. It's really about aligning yourself and being the right kind of person in the right place, which sounds a bit wishy-washy, but it's all a journey. So this is why it's so great to have Annik here sharing this with us, and sort of creating this feeling of being abundant. And then the last couple of things that you were just saying was really about honouring your journey. And so success doesn't come overnight, but success can be measured on the journey in so many different ways. So for this, it's really, what are you grateful for at the time that you're doing it, and how does that make you feel? And then obviously Annik's recommended the meditation, the meditation tool that she used, which is
and a voice coach. I need to book a session with mine.
Oh, the voice coach. So it sort of sounds like the more you took a bit of a step back and looked after yourself and your health and your mindset, that took you another level, would you say?
Yeah, totally. And it's like, yeah, it's fine.
It's like, sorry.
Look, what is, even when I had times in the business where I was absolutely frustrated, you know, I live in my own property. We bought another property in the area. It's like, this is just like rich people's complaints, which is very annoying. But, you know, this is when I really got more into the gratefulness. It's just like, what am I complaining about? Everything is fine, you know, and whatever this problem is, like I had this like last month, the venue we had for our event. I hated the venue and I got in such a grump. And it's like, chill, Annik. There are people out there who can't even find a venue, nor pay for a venue. You know, it's just like, stop complaining on such a high level. I don't know if that's like, I'm quite, for a German, we love complaining. So that's why I think gratitude is so close to my heart, because I always fall into the trap.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's just unique to a particular country, or it seems to be the perspective thing of, and it's linking into this gratitude of being able to see how far you've come. And it's a journey, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. I mean, how many years have you been running the business for now?
Probably, like, we started in 2011, but I still had a job for 2 years. So since 2013, don't even know how long this is. 5, 6, 7 years. So
again, this is just sort of for people watching this live and watching it back. It's progress. It takes time, and you don't meditate and a bag of gold lands on your head. Success is a journey, and I think some people think you can skip the hard bit. And I heard a great quote the other day from somebody who said, everybody wants my lifestyle, but nobody wants to do the work.
Yeah,
I think
so true.
This is the fundamental. You can't have one without another. Everything has to go through. If you want a baby, you have to wait 9 months. Things can't be rushed. So do you have an offer that you would like to share with the community? Have you got anything that's coming up that people can come along if they're interested in learning more about speaking? How can we...
Yeah, sure. Don't be like me if you're listening. Like, I put off getting over my stuff for speaking for so many years. And, you know, once I was good at speaking, I was like, oh, I can't sell and I can't make money from it. So every month we run a different event in terms of a club night event where we always have a different theme. Now in June, it's my favorite thing ever because the theme is public speaking fuck-ups. And you don't have to get on stage if you come along, but you can. There's an audience stage time corner. And it's all about, I know Corinne has booked a ticket already. It's really all about getting a deeper understanding of, shit, I have screwed up. What now? Really developing this attitude of failing is all right and failing is okay. It will help you to get to the next level. And if you check on Eventbrite, I send you the link later, Abigail.
We'll put it in the comments.
Yeah, if you use guest pass June 06, then you can get a free ticket. If you have never been before, come along. We'd love to have you, and you will have a fun night. Otherwise, I give you your free ticket back, I promise.
And I can say, having been to several of Annik's events, you do have a fun night. It is hilarious, and you don't have to get on the stage if you don't want to, but the opportunity is there. And for people that want to be speakers, you only get better at speaking by speaking more. There's no shortcut to it. So if anybody has any questions, and if you're watching this on the replay and you want to put the questions, we will come back over the next couple of days, because we understand, and this is the best thing about this, is that we can do this, record it, and you can watch it. And sometimes I'll watch things later while I'm getting ready and use it as a blog, as like a podcast or something. So I don't even have to watch what people are doing. I just listen to what they're saying. So thank you so much, Annik, for sharing your top tips with us about success. Super, super interesting. And thank you, everybody, for joining us live and for catching the replay. And we look forward to seeing you again at an event or online very soon. Take care.